What if I told you that you could make a reverb out of any space you're in? Audio lovers and musicians alike oftentimes find themselves in a room and they think, wow, this place has great acoustics, right? Or even just interesting acoustics. And wouldn't it be great if there was some way that you could capture that? Well, you can with the power of convolution reverb. So the concept behind it and the process of actually doing or creating a convolution reverb, it's pretty simple at its core. And like anything, you can start little and go big. If you don't have great gear, even if you just have a phone, right, the microphone on your phone, you can do it. Of course, though, you can then up the ante, get better gear, maybe more gear if you want to use more than one microphone to get more of a surround sound or even just stereo as opposed to mono. And you can really go all out with this if you want to. There's a lot of creativity that can go into making convolution reverb. You can change the space that you're in, you can change the impulse response, you can change a number of things. And then of course you can change what kind of microphone you use, how many microphones you use. There's so many variables to it. But again, at its core, it's a pretty simple concept. So, how does it work? Step one, get yourself into a space that you want to capture the sound of, right? The reverberation. Step two, have an impulse response. The lowest budget option that you can use is just a clap. And that's what I'm going to be using today because I don't want to spend money right now. Other common things that people use would be like a balloon and you pop that. You could use like a starter pistol, something along those lines that just give a nice short transient, very loud, so that it can trigger the reverberations of the room and it sounds fairly neutral. It doesn't sound like it has a tone, right? It's not a melodic sound. So for example, that wasn't a very good clapping. That was a good one. Ooh, there was a little bit of ringing back there because we got some knickknacks all around the room. They tend to reverberate. Yeah, so the point is just something very short that triggers the echo. Let's do this one more time. That's a good one. And then what you can do is you trim the audio later on in your editing software. You start right at the beginning of the clap and it goes as long as you want the reverb to be, kind of faded out so that it doesn't clip at the end. And then through the power of technology, you can capture that reverb because of what you just did. You can run anything through it and it will have that reverb as if it was in that room. Super cool stuff, and the possibilities are seemingly endless with this. So without further ado, let's go through the process of making a couple of these. The first technique I want to use is just my phone microphone so that I can show you. You can do it with what you got right now, and also an editing software, but we'll assume that you have some sort of an editing software. There are lots of free programs out there, and there are lots of cheap programs out there. There are free trials of programs, whatever. One that I would recommend that's pretty cheap and very powerful is Reaper. A lot of people talk about this. If you have looked into DAWs before, you probably have heard of Reaper, but I'll be using that some today because it has a good convolution reverb plugin in it where you can import your own audio. But even then, there are tons of plugins that'll do that for you as well. You can do your research and figure out what you want to use or what you already have, but I'll be using Reaper today. Plus, I want to learn a little bit more about Reaper for myself, and I need an excuse to practice it. So it's kind of the point of this whole video, to be honest. So, phone microphone, I'm going to be going to that room back there. It looks kind of creepy on the camera, but it's a bathroom, and it's got some pretty cool acoustics in there. I'm going to be using my phone mic and a clap. I also have this Zoom H5 handy recorder, so I don't know. We're going to play around and see what happens. But the point is, we're going to use something maybe lower budget, phone, and something maybe a little bit higher budget. And then I don't have the gear to do something really high level. So just trust me when I say that you can go high level with this and look up other videos if you really want to see some pros doing convolution reverbs. All right, I've been talking a lot. Let's go. Welcome to my bathroom. Here we are, and you can already hear probably that there is a much different sound in this bathroom than there was out there. One, because I'm using a different microphone, but ignore that and just listen to the acoustics of this room. In fact, let me set this microphone down here and try to give you an idea. All right, so just listen as I clap here. It's a different sound, definitely a different sound. It's a lot shorter, obviously more confined, I guess, right? Because it's a smaller room. I think there's a little bit of a ring, but not a whole lot, probably because of just the stuff that we have in here, cleaning supplies and that metal shower rack. I don't know if you can see that on camera because I don't have a monitor. But But the point is, it's a much different sound than it was out there, and we're going to try to capture this. So how are we going to do that? I have my iPhone right here. Let me adjust the camera. So I have my phone here, and I have it opened up to the settings. Wow, I cannot focus. Come on, camera. There you go. I have it opened up to the settings here because I want to show you something about the voice memo recorder on iPhones. So what you need to do is you need to go into your settings, find the voice memo app, and where it says there audio quality, make sure that it is on lossless and not compressed. That's going to help you out a lot with this sort of thing. It's going to take up a little bit more space on your phone, but don't worry about it because we're worrying about quality over quantity right now. But I'm going to go ahead and open up the voice memo app. I'm going to hit record. I'm going to give a couple of impulse responses, and then that should be good. Okay, my iPhone is currently recording, and I'm going to set down my microphone and go on ahead and do my clap. So a couple things to note there. First of all, I wasn't like right up on the microphone when I clap because you don't want to blow out the microphone there and make it distort. You know, make sure that you're a decent distance away. Experiment when you're in different rooms, right? If you're in a huge room, the location of both your microphone and the impulse response is going to have a significant impact on the sound of your recording. In a smaller room like this, it still matters. I have my phone fairly centered in the room, and I'm just trying to make sure I'm a little bit farther away from the microphone so that I don't blow that out. Another thing is I was really listening to this room after I did my clap, and there's this kind of a dripping sound coming from down here. Obviously, we're in the bathroom. There's liquid, there's water, right? So we got that in there. The point of me mentioning that is when you're in your different spaces trying to record these reverbs, you need to be very attentive to the noises that are happening that aren't just the reverb. Right? AC units are a huge thing. I tried to record an impulse response twice before on this phone, and I had problems with that. One, because I had it on the compressed audio quality and not the lossless. Two, because it was really loud in there. Not because people were talking, not because anything was going on, but because the AC unit was so loud in both of those places. One of them, I was actually in a bathroom at my job, and I pulled out my phone because I was like, hey, I'm alone. This is a cool sounding room. Let me try to capture this. But you could still hear the faint music playing on the loudspeakers outside of the bathroom. You could hear the announcements on the loudspeaker. You could hear the very loud AC. You could hear people in the women's restroom right next to it, flush the toilets and stuff, right? There was all these noises that even though in my immediate vicinity there was nothing really going on, right? There's still a lot happening sonically. So pay attention to that kind of stuff when you are trying to capture these things and really trying to capture any sound. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my Zoom H5, and I'm going to get recordings with that. So give me a sec. All right, we are going very low budget here. Just even with a better recorder, you can see here, sorry, adjusting. I don't have anything to keep this thing stable because the surface is so slippery and the tension on the XLR cable with the microphone that I'm using right now is trying to pull it, and I really want it to face kind of towards the center of the room, so I'm using this thing that I'm holding my phone on in order to prop it up, and just, yeah, we're going very low budget here. But that's kind of the point of this, is to show you can do this with what you got. Whatever you got is going to work. It's going to yield cool results. And honestly, whatever you have is going to be more original and unique to you and your sound than it would be if everybody had like a really nice microphone, the same really nice microphone, then everyone would sound the same. So just use what you have. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get this impulse response now with my Zoom, and then we're going to go back and edit everything, put it all together, and it's going to be awesome. So here we go. All right, that sounded pretty good. So let's go listen to these. All right, so I just finished up editing all of the impulse responses from the H5 and the iPhone. Already I'm noticing a huge difference, and I'll go ahead and play some for you here. In the iPhone, I'm hearing a lot more noise, just static, because it's a lower quality microphone. I'm hearing a lot more low-end rumble, which I might try to attenuate a bit here with an EQ. And then the H5 definitely sounds a lot more clear and crisp. One of the differences I noticed between the H5 and the iPhone is that the iPhone had this kind of metallic ringiness to it that I didn't think the H5 really picked up that well. I don't think either of them are necessarily better or worse. If you talk about maybe fidelity of the audio, then the H5 would probably take it. It sounds a bit more crisp and clear. But if that's not what you're going for, then the iPhone is actually, it's got a really cool sound. It almost sounds like a spring reverb, and I'm really interested to see how that sounds when we apply it. Now, obviously, we need something to put through the reverb because it's an effect. So on its own, it's not really doing a whole lot. So I've decided to use this old metronome, and we're just going to record a bit here into the microphone. We're going to put that through the reverb. It's kind of an impulse response in itself, I guess, just these short little clicks over and over again, but I think it'll be a good way for us to hear, the dry versus the two different reverbs. So here we go. Beautiful. All right, so here we are in Reaper. I'm going to go ahead and import that dry audio file of just the metronome that we just recorded. There we go. Going to open that up. And I'm going to listen to it here to just make sure everything's sounding okay. Yeah, that sounds like a metronome. Okay, cool. So now we're going to go ahead and open up the effects tab here on this track. And we're going to look for the reverbs. Reverb. Get it? Because Reaper, reverb. So funny. Anyway, so I'm messing around here with the controls for some reason. And I'm going to click on add, because this is the important part here. You're going to click on add file, and then you're going to import the audio of your impulse response. So I'm going to find first my H5 and the second one, the second clap that I did, because I like that one the best. Open that up, and there you see that it's represented in that nice little waveform. And I'm going to hit play and listen to it. And you can already start to hear what it sounds like here. You can't hear it right now because of my screen recording. I have limited software capabilities here, so just bear with me. I'm going to play what it all sounds like here in a second. But you can adjust tons of things here. You can change the volume of the impulse response. I actually lowered the volume because it seemed a little bit hot. You can adjust the wet dry signal. If you don't know what that is, dry is the unaffected signal, the original audio of whatever your recording was. So in this case, this is just the metronome recording. And then the wet is the effect. So in this case, the convolution reverb. So you can adjust the balance between the two there. So I'm going to go ahead and save the preset here of my convolution reverb. And now I'm going to open up a new instance of reverb and import my iPhone one. Go ahead and open that up. And we're going to do a very similar process here, just kind of play around with it until it starts to sound good. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and play back for you how these turned out. All right, so that yielded some pretty cool results. You can see that clearly it's working, so that's a good thing. But it still doesn't sound that cool yet. Probably because we're running a metronome through it. So let's get something even cooler, like this old Altonium that I have. So I'm going to go ahead and record some stuff with this, and we're going to run it through the reverb. I have to say, I think I like the iPhone one better. The H5, I mean, it sounds fine, but I feel like there's an interesting character to the iPhone that I really enjoy there. And I realize, obviously it doesn't sound amazing. I recorded this on a Sunday afternoon, an Altonium in front of an SM7B on my desk, and then a convolution reverb recorded with a clap and an iPhone in a bathroom. It's obviously not going to be studio quality stuff here, but that's not the point. The point is that you can do this at home. You can create sounds, you can create effects, and you can get creative with it. You can really go outside the box with this and you can get some very interesting results. I'm somebody who's interested in sound design and just creating new sounds, right? So this is right up my alley. This is exactly the kind of thing I need to have in my toolkit because one, you don't know maybe in a scene in a movie what kind of a space the people are in, or I could get creative and use a convolution reverb as some sort of an effect that is the basis of a sound. You never know, right? You can go all out. You could maybe make some sort of a virtual instrument using this as part of your sound. You can do whatever you really want to do with this. So the purpose of this video is to just help educate people and hopefully show you that making a convolution reverb is very easy to do, very quick, very simple. If you really want to go all out, you can get some studio quality stuff. I didn't today, but that's fine. But that just about does it for this video, and I hope everyone enjoyed watching. Have fun making reverbs, have fun making sounds, and let me know in the comments if there's anything in particular that you'd like me to talk about in the next one. Thank you.